What is up, you guys? I'm currently live on TikTok. I'm answering astrology and metaphysical questions. So let's see what questions people have for us today. If you guys want your own natal chart reading or progress natal chart reading, the information for all of that is going to be in the description box below. You guys can send me an email and we'll go from there. I also have my merch available, and my merch store is also on my website in the description box below. You will see all of that on there. We have a readings tab and a merch tab as well. And I also have a shop with other goodies in there as well, if you guys are interested in those too. Neptune in the 10th house is a little bit of a struggle because when it comes to your career, you don't necessarily see your career clearly. You want to do everything. And you know what's interesting? With Neptune in the 10th house, or for people who have Pisces midheaven, usually what's fueling the whole indecision and not knowing what you want to do is the fact that your 4th house, something took place in the 4th house and in the home, okay? So you have to look at the 4th house and see what's going on in there and maybe what sort of belief systems you have from the parents that are in the way and that are blurring your 10th house, okay? Because Neptune blurs. Wherever you have Neptune, it blurs. But at the same time, Neptune is like the visualization potential that we have. It's that third eye chakra. So you dream about it a lot, okay? So Neptune in the 10th house, and that's your chart ruler. You spend a lot of time in your crown dreaming. Oh my gosh, when I make this amount of money, when I'm in this social status group, or when I'm at this level of status and money and wealth and maybe fame, right? That's that 10th house energy. And especially in the Neptune, you're dreaming about it. Now with Neptune, the whole trick here is to activate Neptune, you want to ground it down, okay? That's kind of how it works. You want to have the visualization and pair it with an action. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all the people joining. Hey, how are you guys doing? I'm just going in order, so I will get to everyone. Feel free to comment below. Thoughts on Saturn, 11th house Cancer, opposite Chiron in Aquarius. So you have Saturn in the 11th house and it's in Cancer, and it's opposing your Chiron in the 5th house and it's Aquarius. Okay, so Saturn in the 11th house, that's the area that you get restricted in. So, okay. Chiron is the wounded healer. So wherever you have Chiron in your natal chart, it's the area that you're healing through in this lifetime. So you're healing through 5th house like things and Aquarius like types of things, right? Now Saturn is restricting that 11th house for you, okay? So Saturn's restricting the area of higher mind and higher learning and maybe these futuristic ideas that you have. But at the same time, you have Chiron in Aquarius, right? So you heal through that particular area as well. That's kind of how you can look at it, okay? Saturn's pulling you in this direction, Chiron's pulling you in that direction. So at the end of the day, like wherever you have Saturn, you're mastering that area in this lifetime. So you're mastering the area of the higher mind and the higher learning and these ideas that you have, okay? So, and when you act on them, right, you're basically healing through it at the same time. Let's see what else you guys saying. Hey, how are you guys doing? Hey, Stella. You said, hey, Manny, how are you? You said, do you need the big 3 to answer questions? Or no, it's whatever question you have. Just let me know. And yes, we'll go from there. I don't need your big 3. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all the people joining. I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, and questions about your natal charts. Stella says, hey, Stella, how are you? You said, can you talk about Moon and Mars in the 9th house? Yes. Moon and Mars is nice because it's like what's emotionally fulfilling you is actually also at the same time what's motivating you. Do you know what I mean? So when you have Moon and Mars in the 9th house, for you, it's going to be very emotionally fulfilling to go after a goal, right? To go after some sort of, you know, like thing that allows you to be free because it is in that 9th house. The 9th house is all about freedom. It's all about the higher mind. It's about the higher philosophies, right? So the underlying energy here, like whatever is motivating you and whatever you're going after is freedom, right? Because it's the 9th house. So that's the whole thing with Moon and Mars. And it's nice. It's a nice conjunction because it's like Mars wants to go after something and the goal you're going after and your ambition is also emotionally fulfilling you at the same time. So welcome, welcome, welcome to all the people joining. I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, and questions about your natal charts. Check out my merch, you guys, if you're interested. Okay, it's going to be on my website underneath the merch tab. I have 2 different designs out. So if you guys are interested, definitely check it out. I'm waiting for the canvas to come in so I can show you guys what that looks like. But I do have my sweater on, and I actually have it as a candle as well, but it's all the way over there on my table. So the candles come in a bunch of different scents. So if you guys are interested, absolutely check it out. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all the people joining. I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, and questions about your natal charts. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. Or if you guys have any topics that you guys want to talk about, thanks so much for the likes, you guys. Yes, that's awesome. It gets the video out there for other astrology friends to find us. Thank you for the rose. You said, can I tell you about Moon in Capricorn in the 10th house and midheaven? Okay, Moon in Capricorn is a little bit of a struggle because it's like, Capricorn, first of all, is oppositional to Cancer. Moon is ruled by Cancer, okay? So there's that part of the story. So there's that. The next thing is when you're growing up in your home and in your upbringing, maybe the mother, which is usually the moon. If it's not the mother, it'll be the dominant feminine role in your life. If it's not this person, then it'll be the grandma, like whoever it is, right? Or if the roles are reversed, that's who you're looking at, okay? But whoever was in the dominant feminine energy, this person basically sometimes might be cold or absent, emotionally absent. This person, let's say the mother was working all the time, maybe you were raised by a grandparent, or the home could have been very traditional, very strict. There could have been financial struggles within the home. So for people who have Capricorn energy anywhere in their natal chart, what they're doing in this lifetime and part of their karma is to elevate the financial status of the home and of the family. So whether there's money there or whether there's no money, the focus is always money, okay? So you kind of have to then explore and be like, what's my relationship with money and status and wealth? Maybe you're in a scarcity mindset or whatever it is, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, 10th house, again, it's your emotional world. So it's like, it's very similar to the Capricorn energy where it's like what's emotionally fulfilling for you is to get to that top. Like there's this inner desire, this burning desire to be at the top, be the best, climb. And it's interesting. I was just saying this to someone earlier today. It's like Capricorn people, they know from a higher self level that basically success and all these things take time. So you'll see Capricorn people, this is why they age in reverse. When they're younger, they start hustling, like at a very young age, because they know how much it takes to get to that place, like whether they're aware of it consciously or not consciously. So Capricorn people, for them, all their relationships and their dynamics are always going to be in alignment with some sort of goal that they have in mind because they don't want to waste time. They feel like time gets wasted. But that's why later on in life, when the Saturn Capricornian energy, quote unquote, matures, they're enjoying. They are now reaping the benefits, while at that point, then maybe one of your friends decides to start maybe their own business or do their own thing. Well, you're going to be like, well, good luck to you because the hustle is the hustle. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see because it's kind of like our higher selves always know in a way. You know what I mean? Welcome to all the people joining. Hey, Monica, thank you. Let me just go back up. I'll get to everyone. I'm just going in order. My perception on Pluto moving into Aquarius, I can't wait. I am counting down. I'm done with Pluto and Capricorn. Okay, if you guys want to know what the energy is going to be like, go back and see. Now, I don't know if it was March or May, but last year, Google it, okay? When Pluto went into Aquarius for the 6 weeks that we had it in, the energy was so different. It was so awesome. It was so great. And then it went back into Capricorn and I was like, wow. I was like, this is like a cloud. I was like, this is a dark, energetic cloud. So when we go into Aquarius, we're moving into those higher vibrations. Like it's going higher, everything. I can't say everything's gonna be great because it depends on you as a person. It depends how far along you are in your journey. When we go into the higher vibrations, more shadows come to the surface. So it depends how much inner work you're doing and how aware you are of your shadows. But overall, we're moving more into feminine energy. It's gonna be more about tech. It's gonna be more about digital things, all these types of things, okay? So yes, those are the things that are gonna kind of start thriving, and we're moving more into just like feminine energy times. Like I just feel like we're moving more into like, and this is just my own impression. Again, this is the way that I see it, so you guys can take it if it resonates and leave it behind if it doesn't. But I feel like we're moving more into like intuition and feeling. I know Aquarius can be detached, but originally, way back, Aquarius was a feminine sign, okay? So there's that. Hey everyone, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for the follows. Check out my YouTube channel. If you guys are new here, check out my YouTube channel. It's called Barbara Talks. I talk on there for days and days and days, and there are playlists. So if you guys are interested in a particular thing you guys want to learn about, go through the playlist and you'll find your videos in there. And the most fun playlists are the miscellaneous playlists, because in there's the fun videos of like how you can make money, what kind of spouse are you gonna have, what's gonna be activated for you after marriage, what kind of kids are you gonna have, like all those fun videos are gonna be in there. Also maybe how you express your creativity, all these things. And thanks for the likes, you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Monica. You said, can I tell you about Mars and the 12th house in Libra? Okay, that's so interesting. Okay, so Mars in Libra. Mars in Libra is a little bit of a struggle energetically because Mars is ruled by Aries, okay? So Mars is ruled by Aries, oppositional energy to Aries is Libra, okay? So they say it falls here. Now, when people hear that it falls, they freak out and they're like, oh my gosh, this. You have to look at the whole chart, okay? And there's nothing you can do, really, at the end of the day. That's the energy you have in your chart. So Mars and Libra people, basically the struggle with them is like Mars is your motivation, and Mars is how you handle conflict, and Mars is also what motivates you, okay? So when it comes to your goals and your ambitions, you might take a while to actually act on them. You're gonna sit there and you're gonna be like, should I, shouldn't I? And a lot of the time, this indecisive energy with Libra is rooted in people pleasing, and it's rooted in trying to make other people feel happy, right? So the thing is, for Mars and Libra, like something that they kind of have to master, first of all, is themselves, like who they truly are, because also Mars can be your identity in a way as well. So you guys can also look at Mars as like your solar plexus, your identity, right? So Mars is Aries, like this is like your solar plexus and you want to have that strong core, but then it's in Libra and Libra creates their identity through other people. That's the struggle, right? So first of all, you want to have that strong identity, know who you are, what are your goals, wants, needs, and desires. Then when you've gotten like that down, then you kind of have to work on your boundaries, and you also have to work on like not people pleasing is basically what that is. Do you know what I mean? Because the thing is, like a lot of the time Mars and Libra might kind of be like, well, I'm doing this thing, but at the same time, maybe they're living like a double life, or like they're doing this other thing to make this other person happy. Usually family or friends or society or partners or whoever, right? So that's the struggle with Mars and Libra, because by the time they're like, should I, shouldn't I, should I, shouldn't I, it's like gone, right? So then you want to look at Aries, Mars, to see how can you benefit from that energy and how can you kind of balance the energy within. So ways you can do this could be being a little bit more of a go-getter, being a little bit more like aggressive in terms of your goals, actually starting things, not thinking about it so much. And then also Mars and Libra is mastering kind of like the intuition aspect of things. So for Mars and Libra, like also part of the indecision comes sometimes then like originally maybe society, but later then it's going to be your intuition versus your ego. So what do I mean by this? Your intuition is always your first thoughts. That's how you guys can start exercising your intuition. So it's like when you have something present itself, the first thought you have about that thing, whatever it is, that's usually your intuition. And then your ego comes through being like, you shouldn't do it for this reason. It's going to cost this much. This person's not going to be happy. Your manager's not going to approve your vacation, whatever, right? Like all the ego types of things. That's what Mars and Libra is mastering, okay? 12th house Mars. I like 12th house Mars. Well, here's the thing. 12th house Mars can spend a lot of time in the crown, going into like, you know, dreaming about the goals. But I find a lot of the time these people manifest people around them who basically anchor in their goals. So you'll always see Mars in the 12th or Mars in Pisces, people with like a team. Now, it doesn't mean you have to have a team, okay? You don't want to be codependent and these types of things, okay? No, okay? But if it aligns and it manifests, that's great because it's easier for you. If you don't have a team, you'll have to learn how to do things for yourself in terms of like, you know, do the accounting and then the marketing and this and that and all these types of things, okay? So that's Mars in the 12th house. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all the people joining. I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, and questions about your natal charts. If you guys are new here, check out my YouTube channel. It's called Barbara Talks. I'm also selling my merch. It's on my merch store on TikTok. The link is going to be in my bio. And if you're watching on YouTube, the replay, it's going to be in the description box below. And you said, yeah, spot on. People pleasing. Yeah, that's a Libra shadow. Let's see what else are you guys saying in here. You said, I'm describing your son. Yes, exactly. Because they know how hard they have to work. Because the thing is, this plane is ruled by Saturn, you know? And everything that gets rewarded down here is hard work, efforts, and the more time you put into something, and the more that you have like a routine, and the more that you're persistent. It's actually really interesting. I don't know who I was talking to the other day, but basically what I was saying to this person was like, the people who are quote unquote successful in this lifetime, or like at least achieve some sort of goal that they're trying to achieve, isn't really the smartest people or whatever. It's the people who are actually the most persistent, if you think about it, the ones who actually don't want to give up, you know? So that's what Capricorn teaches us. Capricorn teaches us that like, we don't have to get knocked down so easily, because Capricorn's knocked down all the time, but they bounce right back up. You know what I mean? And also Capricorn, like, another reason why like they kind of start hustling at a young age is because like when you're younger you have more energy. Do you know what I mean? So it's like they're really putting all of themselves into whatever it is that they're doing. So that's Capricorn for you guys. Okay, Queen July says, what do I think about Leo rising and what should you expect for Pluto in Aquarius? It's going through your 7th house. Okay, so for people who are like freaking out about the Pluto and Aquarius transit, all I can really say is it's a long transit. It's over 19 years and you're probably not going to feel it until the end, where you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I went through this whole transformation, but I didn't notice it as much because it's 19 years. You know what I mean? So it's like when Pluto goes into Aquarius on January 20th and like the clock strikes 12, it's not like now all of a sudden you're going to struggle in your relationships. No, but Pluto is a pendulum. That's how you guys can look at it. Like whatever you guys have Pluto going through, it's swinging from this extreme into that extreme, and then eventually you neutralize in the middle. So if you have it going through your 7th house, it's going to be in your house of relationships, right? So relationships, romantic relationships, lovers, friends. So through this, okay, maybe you yourself are also going through a transformation because it's actually opposing your 1st house as well, okay? So you're gonna go through these transformational maybe relationships, and maybe in the beginning it'll be intense, but eventually you neutralize. And that's for anybody who has Pluto anywhere in their natal chart. You go through this extreme and eventually you neutralize somewhere in the middle, because you've kind of gone through that whole journey, right? Of like, okay, this extreme and then this extreme, and then you're in the middle. So that's the thing. And you probably won't feel it as much because it's a 19-year transit, right? So at the end, you'll notice, like at the end, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, like I went through this whole change and this whole transformation, but it'll be very incremental. That's kind of how Pluto works. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Aquarius is in your south node. How does that affect the Pluto in transition? Okay, so the Pluto transition. Okay, so the Aquarius south node, well, it depends what house it's in as well. That's what is going to be affecting more, but maybe you're going to have a lot of past life things come to the surface that you're clearing and purging. Once again, though, 19-year cycle. So don't like freak out over it and be like, oh my gosh, like what am I going to do? The only thing you can do, it's like the only way out is through, is really what that is. So you're welcome. You guys can look at this last Pluto transit as well to kind of have a reference. So look at Pluto in Capricorn and look, if you remember, I don't know, maybe you were kids or younger when it started back in 2008. See, right? Like what is the transformation you went through? It's usually gradual, okay? But Pluto always deals with unconscious, subconscious, fears, things that are hidden, shadowy things, shadow traits, all these types of things. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm glad that it was helpful. Pluto in Sagittarius in the 8th house, 5 degrees, significant at all. Pluto in Sag is the whole generation, so that's Gen Z. The 8th house is going to affect you more. So with the generational planets, you guys always want to look to see what house is it in, because that affects you more. The sign you're sharing with other people in that generation. So Pluto in Sag, I mean, they're here to basically anchor in the new consciousness is really what that is. Like the higher vibrational, like more freedom frequency, more open. They're kind of breaking through all the like boxes that we have as a society. So that's them, okay? And then 8th house, that's the house that Pluto is transforming for you, okay? So it's sex, death, rebirth, joint finances, taxes, and the occult. So you yourself might go through these transformations. You could also be transforming it then for the whole line as well with Pluto, and then in turn for the collective as well. Okay, so that's kind of how Pluto works because it's a generational planet. So 8th house, let's say you go through huge transformation through astrology, for example. It could be this. It's huge, like deep psychological transformation when you have Pluto in the 8th house. Like this is like really like digging deep to see like, oh my gosh, who am I? Why am I here? What am I here to do? What are my shadows? Like what is like this? Why do I do this? You know what I mean? So you go through that and it's that extreme again. That's how you guys can look at Pluto. That's how I see it. It's a pendulum swing is really what that is. Thank you, thank you, thank you for the likes, you guys, and welcome to all the people joining. You said 8th house Scorpio, Venus, conjunct Pluto. The extremes with money are real. Yes, they are. And also, okay, so what I always say for 8th house people, thanks for the likes, you guys. Okay, 8th house people, Scorpio people have to basically learn to not try to manipulate the energy of money, okay? So you'll see these people interested in things like fast money and pyramid schemes, gambling. You'll see them, anything lower vibrational in society, like the shadow parts of society are all Scorpio in the shadow, okay? So like gambling, casinos, drug dealing, like all these types of things. I'm not saying you do this, that's just Scorpio in the shadow. So looking at this, why are these things Scorpio in the shadow? Because Scorpio wants the money, but they want it fast. So, okay, Scorpio in the 8th house also deals with karma in its own way. So the struggle with this energy is like, because they know in the higher planes, they can achieve things fast. They try to anchor that down here in the physical reality, but we're actually restricted by Saturn down here and by karma. So when you're trying to get something faster, you actually end up spending more time because the karma in a way catches up with you, and then you have to undo the karma that you did. So that's kind of what Scorpio is mastering, if that makes sense. So they kind of have to figure out a way to actually use their energy in a positive sense and like that divine version to actually anchor the money through. So you'll see these people into like some things I can't say on here, like SEX rituals, SEX magic, like all these types of things. Like that's Scorpio 8th house, Venus conjunct Pluto, trying to basically bring something toward them faster. But the thing is, the more that I learn about astrology, you all, it's Saturn. Like we're operating on Saturn transits down here. So it's really hard to manipulate the energy. And then through that, because it's karmic, it's a struggle. I don't know. I don't want to discourage anybody at the end of the day. That's just what I've noticed from just existing down here is really what that is. So there's that. You're welcome. Let's see what else you guys saying. Part of fortune in Capricorn in the second house, ways that you can make money, Capricorn types of things, and second house types of things. So fortune in the second house, the more money you make, the more money you will make. So if you, let's say, don't have a job for whatever reason, or you quit your job and you have no income coming through, it's probably going to be hard for you to get the ball rolling. So make sure you always have income coming through. That's my recommendation for part of fortune in the second house, because the more that you have coming through, and then learn how to distribute your finances. So have this type of income coming through, that type of income, and that type of income. And that's the same thing actually for the Scorpio Venus energy as well. It is a wealth placement. It is, but it's like, it's focused energy is really what that is. And like Scorpio doesn't like how long things take down here, but it just is what it is, okay? And then fortune in Capricorn, you can make money through climbing to higher heights, climbing those higher echelons of society, anytime you're around rich people, okay? So another thing you guys can do is like, let's say you're trying to manifest abundance, well, find yourself in like abundant circles, so kind of like the energy rubs off on you. Do you know what I mean? So that's some ways that you can make money. You're welcome. Tips on becoming an astrologer. Yes, you have to be neutral. I'll get back up to everyone in just a second. You have to be neutral. You can't be biased. What else? Tips on becoming an astrologer. The way that I learned it was like learning through other people's natal charts, if that makes sense. So, you know, if you sit down and you have to learn 12 of everything, like that can get boring. Do you know what I mean? Okay, what is this? What is this? The way that I learned it was like, okay, how can I see Mars and Capricorn being expressed through this person? Like, how do I see it being expressed through that person? Okay, how do I see Venus and Scorpio being expressed through this person? That's how I learned it. And then you have to feel into it is really what that is. Because it's like anyone can learn it. Like anyone can learn like the conjunction and this and that. Like, yes, but you have to feel it is really what that is. That's the way that I see it. You have to be able to feel into it, feel into the energy, and see the flow of things is really what that is. So that's my recommendation. And just, you know, like being passionate, like just like anything in life, right? Like you have to be passionate about it and committed to it. And then the thing is, what I like about astrology and what a lot of like older astrologers say is like, they're always learning something new. And that's why I like it, because I like to learn. So they're always learning something new. So yeah, having an open mind as well is going to definitely be helpful too. Aries North Node in the 7th house. Okay, so this access, 7th house North Node, 1st house South Node, actually part of the karma in this lifetime is to learn to take advantage or like utilize the community around you, the people around you, basically your relationships, your friendships. Like these people are here to help prop you up into your life purpose is really what that is. So these people might struggle because in a past life you probably had to do everything by yourself, or maybe it was a lifetime about the self with the South Node in the 1st, or maybe it was a lifetime where it's like, you know, like you had to just count on yourself. So with the South Node, it's like you've mastered that already. You have the tendency to go toward it, but you're not meant to focus on it in this lifetime. You're meant to focus on the North Node, okay? So with that being said, it's like in this lifetime, you might struggle to ask for help, especially because you do have Aries in there as well, right? So you might struggle to ask for help, but it's actually your community and like the people that you know and your connections that are helping prop you into your life purpose is really what that is. And also another recommendation for this energy is because it is conjuncting your descendant, look at the shadow aspects of the descendant, because those shadow traits, like you're first of all, you're attracting like these people into your life, the shadow aspect of them. For you, probably it's an Aries. So what does this mean? Well, it could be maybe you attract narcissistic people, or people who are super selfish, or people who kind of just care about themselves, or whatever it is, right? Maybe you're Libra rising, I'm curious to know. But anyways, so if you're attracting these types of people, well, actually these people are teaching you to pick yourself, for example, right? To not be as much of, let's say, like a people pleaser and putting everyone else ahead of you, and kind of developing that strong core and like strong backbone. Obviously, like, you know, everything in moderation, you know, now it doesn't mean you have to go off and just like pick yourself all the time and like ignore everybody around you, but it's like with Libra rising, right? And then the Aries descendant, like it's to their detriment, where it's like they're always saying yes to everything that the other person wants to do. And then it's like you really merge into the other person, especially if it's in like relationships. So all these things can help you activate your life purpose, because your life purpose is in Aries. So it is about having that strong solar plexus, for example, and trust in who you are, and, you know, going after something and starting something new, maybe starting a business, or just like overall starting a cycle, or like being a manager, or maybe even an athlete with that energy in there, like something where you're number one and you're the best, but it's like your team, right? Whoever you're working with is helping prop you up. So for example, this energy could literally manifest into like, let's say you have a business, and it's like maybe in a past life it was just you who did your business. Maybe it was like a service-based business. Well, in this lifetime, maybe you have employees, right? So you now delegate to people where it's like, okay, you know, I have this idea. Okay, Bob, do this. Mary, do that. Like these types of things, okay? Welcome to all the people joining. You said yes, you are a Libra rising. That makes sense. I'm going in order, so I will get to everyone. But feel free to comment below if you guys are just joining the live, and check out my YouTube channel. It's called Barbara Talks. You said, can you talk about Gemini North Node? And thank you for the likes, you guys. It gets the video out there. You said, can you talk about Gemini North Node in the 8th house, but no planets or anything else in it? Thank you. Okay. So when I see North Node in the 8th house or even North Node in Scorpio, what this says to me is like part of your life purpose is actually helping other people transform, okay? So maybe you yourself go through some sort of transformational experience. Maybe you lose a lot of weight and you go through like this whole personal fitness journey and health journey, and now you're helping other people transform. Or let's say you overcome an addiction and maybe you write a book about it. It could be this, okay? Now, Gemini North Node, you're speaking. So with the Sag South Node and it's in the 2nd house, in a past life, it could have been like a big fish. It could have been like a small fish in a big pond, right? So you could have been very well known or whatever it was. And in this lifetime with a Gemini North Node, it's a big fish in a small pond. So it's like, maybe it's in your town, for example. Maybe you're speaking this message to the community around you. Maybe you start some sort of like, I don't know, like personal training business and it blows up in your city, for example. Okay, but it's speaking still. You're still speaking. You're motivating people, but it's through transformation because it's the 8th house. Whole signs, I do the Placidus tropical system. I don't know, I never resonated with whole signs. I don't really know, like, I don't know. I think it was originally Placidus tropical and then they came up with like the whole signs and there was like a reason for that. I don't know, I read about it once. I don't know. I personally resonate with Placidus tropical. You guys have to see what resonates most with your natal charts, especially if you're gonna do readings for other people, because it's like you're using it as divination. I'm sure that people who do both come to maybe similar conclusions. But yeah, really what's going to tell you the accuracy of it all is your ascendant, descendant, midheaven, and your IC, okay? That access is really going to tell you a lot about who you are as a person, so you can see which system resonates more with you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Welcome to all the people joining. I'm answering astrology, metaphysical questions, and questions about your natal chart, so feel free to comment below. You said, what can you expect Pluto moving into your 4th house of Aquarius? Yes, you're going to go through a lot of changes in terms of your home, maybe even the relationship with your own home when you were growing up. So maybe there's going to be things coming to the surface, let's say like repressed memories, or maybe you're healing something from like the home, these types of things, okay? Pluto going into your 4th house, maybe you're going to become super psychic during this time, super intuitive, because it will give you undertone energy of having a Scorpio moon. Maybe you'll get more in tune with like your own internal shadows, your own internal world during this time for Pluto in the 4th house. These types of things, okay? But again, it's a long transit, so it's not going to happen overnight, and it's not going to be as intense, I think, as some people are kind of like feeling it to be. I just think that it's going to be, well, it's hard to say. It's not that it's not going to be intense. The frequency is going higher, so it might feel intense. It depends on the person. I'm going to say that, okay? The intensity you feel will depend on the person. But regardless, it's a long transit, okay? Because it's over 19 years. So it's like you'll see the change happen over this 19-year span. It's not like every week now there's going to be something changing and transforming, but this is the area that you're transforming through for the next 19 years is the home, maybe the relationship with the mother, your original relationship with the home, and just feminine energy in general. So like intuition, creativity, psychic gifts and abilities, and these types of things. And you guys can look at Pluto as the pendulum. That's how I see Pluto. It goes from this extreme into that extreme, and then it neutralizes in the middle. So by the end of your Pluto transit, you're gonna be somewhere in the middle of this like whole change, okay? So it'll be a whole like change on an emotional level for you is really what that is with the 4th house. You said Pluto's finally moving off your moon and out of your 5th house. Nice. Let's see what else you guys saying in here. Tips for a lot of Gemini energy. You have so many interests that you can make a career, but you jump. Yeah, so, okay. Gemini energy. I actually have a video on my YouTube channel if you guys are interested. It's called Everything You Need to Know About Gemini Energy. So, this is the way that I see Gemini energy, and it's just my own opinion. So you guys can take what resonates, leave behind what does not. So Gemini is scattered, right? They want to do this, they want to do that, and then they know everything about everything is really what that is. Like, let's say you're playing trivia with a group of people. The Gemini person is going to know all the answers, and you're going to be like, where did you even learn that? It's the Gemini energy, right? So with that being said, because they're so scattered, they have a struggle to streamline their energy. So my recommendation for this energy is pick one thing that you want to do, focus on that thing until you maybe get it to 80%, where it's kind of like running already. Then start your next project. and then get that thing to 80%, and then start your other project. Because Gemini is good at multitasking, but they're not good at getting the projects to the point of multitasking. Because usually what happens is they start this thing at 20%, and then they drop it, they forget about it, and then they start that thing, and then they forget about it, drop it, find something else that's more interesting. And this thing's interesting. So it's like they spend a lot of time like this and there and everywhere, right? So there's that. Now, another thing for Gemini energy is your connections are going to be super important. Your siblings could also play a huge role in your life as well. Switching up the vibes overall is going to be really important for Gemini energy. So it could be like going on little trips here and there just to keep things fresh and exciting. So yeah, that's Gemini energy. Thanks so much for the likes, you guys. You said mutable air, yeah. You said so true. Your dad has Sun and Mercury in Gemini. He always gets the Jeopardy questions right. It's true. They always know all the answers. I'm like, where did you like even learn all these facts? But yeah, they're like absorbing. Like Gemini's always absorbing things. They're always talking to a lot of people. They have a lot of like information, right? But it's like you have to learn how to focus it on one thing, because it's like the thing is with life in general, like if you don't streamline your energy, somebody else is going to rope you in and then streamline your energy for you, right? So that's the whole thing here. So it's like if you have a certain energy in your natal chart, you want to see how can you balance that energy with, and especially if you have a certain goal in mind, right? So like let's say like a person has a lot of Gemini energy. First of all, they could have a hard time even picking a goal, like you mentioned, because you said you could do a lot of different careers, and it's like in that, you know, you spend a lot of time and a lot of time gets wasted. So just like picking one thing and being like, okay, I like this thing, I'm going to do this thing, and then starting the next thing, and then starting the next thing. Let's see what else you guys saying in here. Thoughts on having vertex and north node in the 8th house. Okay, vertex, I don't know, like when I tap into vertex is first of all a more so recent discovery in astrology. So with that being said, it's like a lot of people haven't attached their energy to vertex. I do have a playlist on my YouTube channel for the vertex videos. The house in vertex is going to tell you the group of people you experience some form of fated event through, and then the sign is going to be what that fated event might be. So having your vertex and north node both in the 8th house, it's like whatever event you experience probably puts you in alignment with your overall life purpose. For example, overall, I see vertex as putting you in alignment with your overall life purpose. Oh my gosh, thank you for the gift. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, so it's like anytime I read vertex for people, I just always say like take it with a grain of salt, because it's like this fated event could be literally so many things with the combinations in your natal chart. Depends what sign you have in there as well. So the house is the group of people you experience the event through. 8th house can be like an astrologer, a psychologist, a financial advisor. It could be like your spouse. It could be like maybe like the banking person, like whoever, right? Anybody that's 8th house-esque. That's who you experience the fated event through, and whatever sign you have in there is going to be what that event is going to be, is really the overall idea, like the vibe of the event. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You said, one second, Pluto, Jupiter, Saturn, conjunct South Node synastry. Is that good or bad? I don't see anything as good or bad in astrology, just like the energy that we have. So anytime you have South Node conjunctions, hold on. Yeah, you said South Node. Anytime you have South Node conjunctions, it's like, it's all karma from a past life that you're bringing through into this lifetime. Oh, but you're staying in synastry. So in synastry, it's going to be past life dynamics and things that you're resolving with this person is really what that is. It could be magnetic, especially because Pluto's in there, psychologically changing as well. Saturn and Sagittarius in the 2nd house meaning. Okay, so you have Saturn and Sag, and it's in your 2nd house. So, okay, so Saturn, wherever you guys have Saturn, the sign, it's generational, okay? So it's 3 years span that you share with other people. So you get restricted in this area, but the house always affects you more because it's the area of life that you yourself are getting restricted in. So Saturn is usually the father. If it's not the father, dominant masculine role in your life. If it's not this person, authority, teachers, your managers, they restrict this area for you. So for you, H, the area that gets restricted is freedom, okay? And it's the higher mind and the philosophies and the religion. So for example, maybe the father was very religious, and maybe you yourself are more so philosophical or spiritual with that particular restriction. And then that maybe plays a part throughout your life. Maybe, let's say if he was religious, maybe you went to like, I don't know, like a religious school, and then through like the teachers, you also got restricted in this area, just as an example. But it can manifest many different ways. So you share that with people in the subset of your generation who are in that 3-year window. And then the 2nd house is going to be the house of money. So Saturn in the second house is really interesting because the thing is with this energy, it's like it goes basically one of two ways, okay? It either is you incarnate into having money in this lifetime or you don't have it at all. And then you have to basically work toward it and you're mastering money in this lifetime. So Saturn usually matures, they say around age 35 in astrology. I feel like the frequency of the planet's higher, things are happening sooner, everything's moving faster, right? These days people are more aware. So because of this, it could be sooner, but it's like you have to go through a certain amount of Saturn transits, quote unquote, for Saturn to mature. So with Saturn in the second house, is going to push you through these like trials and tribulations when it comes to money and also in turn your self-worth. So for second house and Taurus energy, it's like the money and how much money you make is all connected to your self-worth. And because it's Saturn, usually the father restricts that area for you. So maybe, I don't know, like maybe he had like commentary when he was young, whether the money was there or not there. Maybe you had the impression that there was no money, or maybe he made commentary, or this is expensive, this costs this much. Like these little subtle things that go into your subconscious that as a child, you're kind of like, well, I'm not worthy of receiving money. And then you struggle in that exact area. So you yourself then might struggle with like scarcity mindset or like always saving, not enjoying, and these types of things. Okay, so that's Saturn in the second house. Synastry is when you look at one person's natal chart and another person's natal chart and to see what's going on between the two natal charts and if you guys are vibing or not. Pisces moon in the 10th house, very, very dreamy. Definitely watch out for substances and escapism with Pisces moon. Huge dreamer though, 10th house dreaming about money probably most of the time. Saturn conjunct someone's south node. You said, is Saturn conjunct someone's south node bad synastry? Or you are the same age, so it's generational. Saturn conjunct someone's south node. No, I mean, I can't say, I don't know. Again, I don't see anything good or bad with astrology, but Saturn conjunct someone's south node, it's like it's karmic because it's Saturn, south node, past life. So there could be a lot of things that you guys are clearing amongst each other. Also, whoever is the Saturn person, like it could be like quote unquote daddy issues that they're clearing or something of this sort because Saturn does deal with the father and then authoritative figures. Maybe like whoever is the Saturn person is more authoritative in the relationship. It could be this as well. So, and then because it's south node, it's like it's directly connected to a past life. So it could be this, like maybe in a past life, like this person in a way was your authority. It could be this, for example. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the people joining. Let me know if you guys have questions about astrology, metaphysics, anything to do with your natal charts. Feel free to comment below. I'm just gonna drink some water, BRB. Okay, I am back. Let's see. Emily says, natal Libra midheaven and now progressed to Scorpio. So that's interesting because now in terms of your career, basically what you're trying to get to in terms of career and public image is money and power and control. Usually money is power and control, but that's the thing for midheaven. So people who have midheaven in Scorpio, what's really interesting with this energy is like what I've noticed and observed, like a lot of politicians have this, or actors or actresses, people who are really in the public eye, because it's like for them, like it doesn't really matter what they do as long as they're getting to some form of power and control. Keep that in mind. So their public image and their career is all about power and control. Because it's Scorpio, it's always gonna be behind the scenes. So it's usually people you don't expect. When people have a Scorpio midheaven, they're like slickly like moving, right? Where it's like strategic. I think when I did the video, I called it like strategic moves to power. Astrocartography is accurate, but what I would do if you guys are interested in learning more is look at the natal chart of the city or country or wherever you're trying to move to, and look at the synastry between that and your natal chart, okay? Astrocartography is like more general. If you want more accuracy, look at the synastry between the two charts to see what's taking place and what's going to be activated. Moon in Taurus, opposite Venus in Scorpio, conjunct Pluto. Can you tell me if your moon in Taurus is conjuncting the Pluto, or is Venus in Scorpio conjuncting your Pluto? What does it mean? Or you said we have his north node conjuncting your Saturn in the 7th house. Oh my gosh, there's so many of you guys conjuncting the Saturn. So his north node is conjuncting your Saturn. Maybe within you, he sees some form of like authority that's like putting him into his life purpose or something of the sort. Like it could be this. What are my thoughts on destiny versus manifesting your dream life? Yeah, okay. Here's the thing. I have mixed feelings about this because it's kind of like the question of fate versus free will. So, okay, this is how I see it. This is how I see it thus far. Maybe it's going to change, okay? So when we're younger and we're unaware, because you're unaware and you like only have the limitation of what you know, right? Your ability to manifest is limited, right? Because you can only manifest what you know and what you see. And keep in mind, what you see is usually fed to us, right? So the more that I learn about astrology and the more that I learn about Saturn transits, we're always in a Saturn transit, by the way. The more that I learn about Saturn transits, the more that I start to think that, you know, while we're under this form of energetic structure, which is operated by Saturn, right? So if you're within that frequency, right, which all of us are in a way. So the whole point, I think, is to break out of that frequency, because when we break out of it, I feel like only then we have access to free will. I don't know if that's like discouraging, but it's like we're always being operated by Saturn. Like every 3 years, you're going through a Saturn transit, right? And this Earth is very Saturnian. So I don't know, like you can try to manifest. Like here's the thing, like there's something like, okay, when we look at manifesting, right? Look at, let's say, like people in third world countries, like the manifestation techniques that they talk about in the West don't necessarily, like how are they true if someone in a third world country can't manifest their way out of their situation? Do you know what I mean? So I feel like a lot of things on this plane have been hijacked and energetically manipulated. And there's a lot of like, the only way I can explain it is just like energy, like almost like sheets and blankets that are placed upon maybe places and certain like areas, right? So it's like overall around the Earth, I feel like in a way it's like gridded, like there's like a sheet energetically, and within this energetic like sheet, whatever it is, like the way that I see it is like, I don't know, it's like this energetic thing that's surrounding the Earth, right? That's Saturn. That's the way that I see it. That's the karma, the karmic loop, the karmic wheel, and it's around the Earth plane is really what that is. So I don't know. I mean, you can try and see, right? But I do think a lot of things are predetermined, but I also do think that some things are hijacked. Like I think we can play within the brackets of what we're given in terms of our, let's say, natal charts while we're within this frequency, right? So when we break through this frequency energy, right, we'll be able to access more, I feel like, but there's like this energetic shield around the Earth. I don't know, I can't explain it any other way. I hope that makes sense. You said 100%. Yeah, that's what it is. Because honestly, the more that I learn about astrology, I don't know, I'm just like, I get annoyed because I like serendipity and I like to think that, you know, like we're doing like what we want, but at the same time, you can't do everything that you want, right? And like, if I'm going to take you guys even more into your crowns, I don't even know if I should. I need to find that picture because it's like I saw it once, but I never saw it again because on the astral plane, I saw this like picture and the picture was basically like all these eyes on the astral plane, right? Anyways, I'm just going to leave that there. I'm not going to take you guys too much into the crown. Okay, let me just answer a few other questions. Venus conjunct Pluto in the second house, and then your moon is in the eighth. Also, that's opposing. Maybe what you want to do. The first thing that came through was like maybe what you want to do is opposing maybe what the mother wanted you to do or something of this sort. Anytime there's anything going on with moon, Venus, and Pluto, that's like, you know, issues maybe around the mother. Venus and Pluto is like the feminine energy overall. Maybe you might have like power control struggles with the feminine. If it's not feminine, it could be like people who are out of the feminine energy. So that's the thing, okay? Venus and Pluto conjunction. But what I will say is like the energy could be good at like manifesting money, absolutely. But again, like Scorpio always tries to cut corners and they always kind of like trap themselves, I guess you could say. You said also, what are my thoughts on popularity of manifestation? Makes you very suspicious. Is this about using the collective to shift the frequencies? Yeah, see, here's the thing. And as soon as anything becomes mainstream, it's questionable. Okay, this is the way that I see it, okay? So I've been on this journey for a while, since 2012, okay? Back then, in 2012, there was one page on Facebook. It was called like Spirit Science. And back then, they were talking about a lot of these concepts, and I was always interested because I was always interested in the metaphysical world. So that's 2012, so like almost 13 years ago. Anyways, so back then, all of these things existed. And it's like, the way that I see it is like, there's certain things that are traps energetically. Like a lot of things in the New Age are actually traps. They really are, okay? But the thing is, the New Age is like the lower fourth dimension consciousness, right? But the thing is, you have to go through the New Age to break through that deception to get into the higher and higher frequencies, right? So it's like, we are going through a collective shift. Absolutely, we're going into higher frequencies and higher vibrations, but a lot of people are currently in the lower fourth dimension is really what that is. So it's all about integrating the shadows is really all that it is. And the more that we integrate the shadows, the higher we raise the frequency and the, you know, I don't want to say the faster. I want to say faster, but it's not really the term that I want. Like, we'll break through this energetic structure is really what that is. That's kind of places like a grip upon us. I hope that makes sense. Scorpio Venus man. I don't know what to tell you about men who operate out of the Scorpio energy. Usually they're very quiet. They're very withdrawn. They're very calculative. depends how evolved they are. Let's just say that, okay? Scorpionic men, depends how evolved they are, because if they're in their lower versions, they can be hypersexual, they can be very much like manipulative, controlling, jealous, obsessive. Yes, okay, like that guy from You, okay? But if he's in the divine version, healing, very healing person, transformational person, like been through a lot, very interesting, like very intuitive. So it depends like where he is in his evolutionary journey. Let's see. Also, anything that hits the mainstream is absolutely, yes, suspicious, and it's always like a hijack. So you said you have Jupiter in the first house in Sag, but it's retrograde. How does that play out in luck? It's more so internalized versus externalized when you got retrograde planets taking place in your natal chart. So it's like you experience it more so internally. You might have to work harder to pull the energy out, you know, or to activate, let's say, that luck energy, or you might think about it more, right? That's how retrograde works. And you're closing out that cycle in this lifetime. Thanks so much for the likes, you guys. You said you have to pick a date to be induced. What moon sign pairs best with a Pisces moon? You said full moon in Cancer. Would that be a good day? What is the other option? Let me know. I'm curious to know what is the other option. Because that moon is going to be trining your moon, which is nice. Welcome, welcome, welcome to all the people joining. I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, and questions about your natal charts. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below. Taurus moon, but a Capricorn baby. Ooh. I don't know, it's hard to say. It's hard to say because Cancer moon people are always abandoned, like they feel abandoned emotionally, but then you're a Pisces moon, so it's going to trine your moon. So like they might get along better with you. And then Taurus moon is going to be all about the hustle. I don't know. It's really hard. It's something also, like, let's say I'd have to look at the whole natal chart to see what's going on, because there's the aspects that are taking place in there as well, right? Pisces moon is your sun. Aquarius moon is, okay, Pisces moon is your sun. Aquarius moon is yours. Cancer moon is your partner. Interesting. So the new baby would be a Cancer moon as well. Jupiter chart ruler in Pisces, third house. Gotta speak, gotta communicate, usually about the metaphysics, metaphysical planes, metaphysical ideas, spiritual planes, all these things. Thanks so much for the likes, you guys. In your natal chart, what does Saturn and Pisces mean? Okay, so Saturn's currently going through Pisces, okay? So wherever you guys have Saturn in your natal chart is the area that gets restricted for you in this lifetime by, first of all, the father. If it's not the father, dominant masculine role in your life. If it's not this, then it's going to be whoever took on that masculine role if the roles were reversed, for example. Also, then it's going to be your teachers and then all of your authority positions. So it could be your managers as well, okay? So Pisces, Saturn, this is generational, right? So the house is going to affect you more. You will take on some of the traits because it is within the generation overall. So within that 3-year bracket, all the people who have Saturn and Pisces basically get restricted in the area of spirituality and the higher mind and maybe your psychic gifts and your intuition and your spirituality, for example, where it's like maybe you grew up in a religious family and you're super spiritual, or you don't want to do with like the labels and these types of things. Aries, Saturn in the 4th house. Saturn in the 4th house gives you the undertone of having a Capricorn moon. Upbringing could have been like there could have been financial struggles within the home. When you have Saturn in the 4th house, you could have also been raised by a grandparent, or your parents could have been older for Saturn in the 4th house. What else? You yourself like place a lot of like your own like emotional worth on getting things done and feeling like accomplished. There's that as well. Aries, Saturn, that subset of the generation, so that 3-year bracket, they basically got restricted in their identity and expressing the self is really what that is. 12th house, Gemini moon, so that's karmic dynamic with a mother transferring over into this lifetime. Thanks so much for the likes, you guys. So Gemini moon, you know, these people, you're more so intellectual when it comes to your feelings. Obviously, it depends what your 4th house is. So your 4th house is going to tell you a little bit more information about how your moon operates, okay? Whatever sign you have in there. But overall, Gemini moon, like they want to do this, they want to do that. You have a lot of friends. Although it is in the 12th house, so it gives you a little bit more of a watery undertone to the moon. So the card with the mother is carried over into this lifetime. Definitely watch out for like substances with the 12th house. Your intuition's carried over into this lifetime, your psychic gifts and abilities. You could be super, super psychic, super, super clairsentient with the 12th house moon. You said, is moon in the 4th house at 4 degrees a good placement? Here's the thing, it's hard to say what's good or bad. What's good about moon in the 4th house is that your IC is probably going to be the same sign as your moon sign. So you're like double of that moon energy. So there's a positive thing. Anytime there's 4th house placements in a natal chart, there's always karma to resolve within the home, or like you're clearing generational things for the family line. Anytime you guys have 4th house, 8th house, or 12th house, that's generational things that you're clearing that have been passed down. So you'll see 12th house people, there's always 12th house traveling within the family line, okay? It could be unused psychic gifts, for example, comes to you, you're the one who's going to apply them in this physical reality. That's kind of how it works, is really what that is. Caitlin, hey, how are you? You said, what does it mean to have Neptune and Uranus in the 8th house of Aquarius? So interesting. I was just saying this to someone earlier today. Neptune and Uranus in Aquarius, that's a subset of the generation. So you're probably Gen Z, Pluto in Sag. So this subset of the generation, okay, so Pluto is the whole generation. Then you have Neptune is like another part of the generation. And then Uranus is an even smaller part of that generation. That's kind of how it works. So this subset of the generation is here to anchor the change, anchor in the change, the new higher vibrations, the more spiritual way of seeing things. Breaking down the boxes is the biggest one in here, okay? So Neptune, Uranus, and Capricorn people, we're here to break down the traditions and like the old way of like making money and these types of things. Neptune and Uranus and Aquarius are here to really break through the boxes, okay? So when I say boxes, we look at society, right? This is how it's done. You have to be in this type of relationship. You have to live in this type of living arrangement. You have to do this type of school, all these boxy things, okay? You guys are breaking through, right? Is really what that is, okay? A new, fresh perspective, and it's usually futuristic, but it probably won't come online for a while, okay? Is really what that is, because Neptune is blurring it. So you guys rebel in it because it's Uranus. You anchor in the new change and ideas because it's Uranus, it's ahead of its time, but Neptune blurs it. So it's gonna take a while. I want to say a few years, but yeah, it's gonna take a while for it to basically come into fruition. Now for you, okay, so for everyone really, but for you in particular, because you have it in the 8th house, the 8th house affects you more, okay? So Uranus in the 8th house, you rebel in this area, and also it's going to be the area that's uniquely expressed. So it's the area of sex, death, rebirth, joint finances, taxes, and the occult. And then Neptune is also the area that you escape through as well. So Neptune in the 8th house, for example, could like dream about like certain like fantasies, for example, in their minds. I'm speaking between the lines here, so you're gonna have to catch my drift, okay? That's Neptune in the 8th house. Or, you know, like you could even get like downloads. Let's say like you learn about astrology, for example, or the occult, because you're thinking about it so much with Neptune, you're escaping, you're dreaming, you get a new idea. So maybe you can anchor that in. So trigger Neptune, you all, is to figure out how to ground the energy in this physical reality. So Neptune blurs it, yes, because you spend so much time in your crown, dreaming and thinking about it, but you have to figure out how can you ground it in this physical reality, usually by pairing some form of action along with it, okay? Welcome to all the people joining. I'm answering astrology questions and metaphysical questions, and I'm just reading what you guys are saying in here. You said, just saw the water placement post. Your Pisces Venus does take over. Yeah, all water placements take over in a natal chart. I always feel water energy out of a person, even if it's one placement. I usually feel it. Now, usually that's probably going to affect you more. Let's say if it's in like the personal planets. If it's like an asteroid, maybe not so much, right? But I always feel the water energy coming like through a person, because here's the thing. I don't know, like the way that I see it is a few things. This plane, at least up until now, is shadow masculine, right? It's not even actually masculine, it's shadow masculine, right? So it's in the shadow masculine energy. So through this era that we've been living in, anything that's feminine energy has not been valued. It has not been expressed. It's been suppressed. It has been like people don't know how to work with it or deal with it. And that's all feminine energy, which is the water placement. So emotions, intuition, psychic gifts and abilities, anything to do with even like knowing how to express your emotions, knowing even that you feel them, right? It's been very much in like the head, right? We're going more into the heart now, which is interesting because a lot of things that have been floating around these past few years energetically, right? People getting certain illnesses, I'm speaking between the lines here, have been targeting the heart chakra. That's the heart chakra coming online, right? Interestingly enough, so back in the day when we had AIDS, okay, you guys are gonna have to spell that out. That was targeting the sacral chakra. The sacral chakra is important for spiritual awakenings, okay? Because that's your sexual energy, right? Now is the heart chakra. So a lot of heart chakra energy is coming online. And the heart chakra is the strongest chakra, is really what that is, if you think about it, right? Because everything is in here. It's its own muscle. So people who are more so watery, up until this point, not only have been absorbing a lot of their own stuff, but also everybody else's, for the people who don't express, right? How can we tap into a certain energy to get downloads? Any tip for that? Sure. What kind of energy are you trying to tap into? Does Neptune and Uranus in Aquarius, second house, mean not financially stable? No, it doesn't mean that. So Neptune and Uranus in Aquarius in the second house, it just means, first of all, Uranus is unique ways of making money, okay? So the way that you make money is going to be unique. You'll always have money, and then Neptune's blurring this area for you. So you might spend more time dreaming about money rather than acting on it. So wherever you guys have Neptune, you have to figure out how can you anchor this energy into this physical plane and into this physical reality is really what that is. Instead of like spending all the time in the crown and dreaming, and it could be like this and it could be like that. Like that's what Neptune does, right? You want to reel it back in. Thank you guys for the likes and the follows. Make sure you guys check out my YouTube channel. It's called Barbara Talks. I talk on there way more and longer. Natal Venus in the 4th house in Libra. First thing I thought of was the mother and the influence of the mother influencing your love life and like your friends and your interpersonal relationships. You said also this Pluto in the 2nd house with Saturn and Jupiter, is that a strong combination? Well, after you neutralize somewhere in the middle, because Pluto in the 2nd is that pendulum, right? And it's around money. Pluto in the 2nd, what they're really mastering in this lifetime is actually letting go of material things. So a lot of the time, Pluto in the 2nd house people don't have money when they're growing up, or again, if there is money, they're under the impression that it's not there, okay? So like, let's say you did grow up in a financially like stable home. Well, maybe, I don't know, the parents had scarcity mindset, and maybe they talked the entire time about how much money there wasn't, or how much this cost, or how expensive this was, or, you know, spending this on this, like all these comments, right? That goes into the subconscious. So like the Pluto in the 2nd house person is almost like always operating on survival mode. Like I need more and I want to get more. And like when they get the things, they can really hold on to the things, right? But actually what they're meant to master in this lifetime is like realizing that like the material things like are very, I'm hearing transient, okay, is really what that is. Let's see what else are you guys saying in here. 11th house Scorpio. I like 11th house Scorpio. If you guys want to know what kind of following you guys would have, let's say you guys started your own page and you guys want to take advantage of the energies in your natal chart. So you guys can look at your 11th house. So I have a video on this on my YouTube channel. It's under the miscellaneous playlist. It's called What Kind of Following Would You Have Based on Your 11th House. So 11th house Scorpio, you would have a following that's very loyal to you. You would have a following that's into like the occult and astrology and anything that is metaphysical, maybe true crime, even anything to do with psychology, like all these things, right? The people that you're delivering the information to would be into that. So knowing this, you can take advantage of this as well, okay? Now, with that being said, 11th house is the house of friendships as well. So you could also attract Scorpio types of friends into your life. Maybe your friends are possessive. Maybe your friends are super loyal. These types of things, okay? You said, just in general, do you need to be focused on a certain topic or listen to binaural beats, for example? I'm very, very weary about all YouTube meditations. Unless it's coming from someone that I know personally, I don't listen to them. And that's another thing, again, through my own journey, I used to listen to it, I don't listen to it anymore because I don't know who is putting the beats, these things out there, and you know, what is the energy and intention behind it? You know what I mean? Maybe that's my Scorpio energy coming through. So I'd rather just listen to someone that I know and I trust. And even that, right? Like there's always energy transference too. So there's that as well. So I don't know. It's hard to say. But if you're trying to tap into a certain energy, because I think that was your original question here, tap into a certain energy, you have to figure out what is your way of tapping into that energy, okay? So is it through meditation? Is it through exercise? Is it through walking? Is it through running? Is it through listening to music overall? Like how do you kind of elevate, right? Because we can also use music to elevate. Absolutely, we can, right? But you have to really be in tune with that heart frequency and the discernment to actually tap into it, you know, and be like, okay, this is like elevating me, right? So that's why a lot of the time, like the way that I see it is like, you know, when we're going through like a spiritual journey and we're going through like awakening and all these things, like it usually takes a person to activate you, if that makes sense. And the way that I always psychically see it is like, I see one person always like flying out of like the dome thing, right? That I was telling you about earlier about like the sheet, right? For lack of a better term. I always see one person like pulling and like flying out, and then I always psychically see them like holding on to another person. So like they're pulling this other person out and then they're pulling this other person out. So that's kind of how I psychically see it. So we need to activate, right? Like we activate each other is really what that is. So sometimes like maybe there's someone, a musician that's like super high vibrational that's pulling you, right? Into the higher realms, or maybe that's through exercise, or maybe that's through cleaning, or maybe that's through cooking, or maybe that's through dancing. Like what elevates your vibration? Because the thing is like, if you're trying to tap into a certain energy, or like even if you're trying to get psychic information or insight, you have to elevate your energy, right? You can't be pulled down, okay? So this is why I made the chakra videos, because through those videos, you guys can learn and see what pulls you down, because sometimes a person can pull you down, right? Let's say someone has like unhealed, like intense sexual energy, and their sexual energy is coming at you. They might be pulling you down energetically, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So much manipulation. Yeah, so many things have been manipulated. Honestly, the more the time goes on, I'm very, very weary about a lot of things. I've experienced a lot of things. I've learned a lot of things. I did Reiki, like all these things. And right now I just like literally just like listen to my own intuition is really what that is. Because especially in the time that we're in now, back in the day, okay, this is how I see things, okay? Back in the day, things were a little bit more energetically pure because the consciousness was down here. So you guys can look at it like this, right? So back in the day, right, let's say the consciousness of the plane was at level 10 and maybe certain modalities were level 11, right? And this is what I mean by pulling you out also. It perfectly ties into what I was saying. So like, let's say the consciousness of the plane was level 10 and everything else was level 11. Let's say going for this type of thing, sound healing, whatever. That was maybe all at level 11, right? So that was able to pull you up higher, right? But now let's say the consciousness of the plane, because we've been going through a rapid awakening, is at level 12. Well, the things that were once at level 11 are now going to pull you down. I hope that makes sense, right? So maybe back in the day, energetically, let's say binaural beats were at that level that was able to pull you up. Well, maybe now it's pulling you down. That's why you need discernment. So what's happening with the collective right now is we're really, really going through like discernment tests, like learning to discern what resonates with me. Does it resonate in my heart space? And that's also why I did the chakra videos as well, okay? Because the heart space is always gonna help you guys get in tune, right? With what it is that's going to serve you, right? And that's another thing too, like different things are gonna serve different people and different people are gonna serve different people. So there's that. Let's see what else you guys saying in here. You said you feel the same way. Absolutely. No, it's true because I feel it. Like I'm very, very feeling based, right? And it's like, here's the thing, what you guys also have to understand. It's like when something is no longer serving the time that we're in, it becomes an inversion, okay? So it becomes dark. So this is why a lot of religions are falling off now, okay? Because it's no longer serving the time. Because it's like, how do I explain it? Like, again, it's that level thing that I was telling you guys about, right? So like, let's say the consciousness was at that level and maybe there was a certain ritual or like practice that people did that helped them go higher, right? Well, we're higher now. So those things don't serve us anymore. So if you're connecting to those things, you're actually going to the lower astral plane. You know what I mean? So this is why a lot of things, like sometimes people say this is demonic and that's demonic. And it's not that it's technically demonic. It's just that in our lifetime, we are going through this rapid acceleration of vibration is really what that is. So things that served us maybe 5 years ago, let alone like maybe 2 years ago, right? Don't serve us anymore. And now we need newer and newer and newer things. And it's like, again, now it's really coming to the like time where it's like all those things played their part. It's all about getting in tune with the self now, right? We're also moving away from the guru and the age of the guru and like that type of stuff, right? We're going more into like circle types of societies. You said it doesn't feel authentic, it feels contaminated. A lot of things are contaminated. They are. I'm so glad that we're talking about this. I'm excited to post this after. A lot of things are energetically contaminated and it's like, it's a few things. Sometimes, okay, so this is why back in the day, like certain spiritual knowledge only pertained to mystery schools, right? Because you had to go through a level of initiation as a soul, right? Like you had to go through a level of initiation as a soul. And a lot of the time back in the day, it was a certain level of like Saturn cycles that you would go through, right? To actually get initiated, to actually even be able to access this information. Now we're in an age of information. Now everybody is trying to be this type of thing and that type of thing and this type of leader and that type of leader. And it's like, you know, again, I can't say that it's like an age thing. I can't say that because sometimes you have old souls that are young, right? But it's like, I don't know, like people really have to develop the discernment because it's like not everything that everybody is saying is accurate, you know? But at the same time, like I guess this is the catch-22, at the same time, like even the people who, let's say, quote unquote, fall for things, right? Or like get quote unquote led astray, like part of that journey is to learn to trust the self and to learn to trust the intuition. And the only way you can learn that is to go through it, is really what that is. So the plane is like, the way that we do things right now is very like, I don't want to say lower vibrational in like a bad way. It's just dense. That's the word. It's dense. School is dense. They haven't changed it. And like a lot of these things that are trying to keep people in these boxes, I was talking about like the boxy society earlier, aren't working anymore. So in the higher planes, right, the way that it feels to me, at least, is like we learn things faster. That's why like, and it's interesting because you're seeing the manifestation of that with all the information, right? But it's like, we're getting like bombarded with so much information that it's like in a way it's not regulated, if that makes sense. So that's, I guess, confusing people even more. So that's why also people have to develop their intuition as well. But I feel like in the higher planes, first of all, we don't talk, okay? Talking wastes a lot of energy, okay? We're telepathic. And I also feel like we learn things in the higher planes through just like getting a download in our head. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, let's say people who have ADHD, I feel like they're faster. Do you know what I mean? Like they're just operating faster. They're just like, and again, I'm not a mental health or medical professional in any way, shape, or form. That's just how it feels to me. Like they're operating faster and this plane is slow. It's slow, it's dense, it takes time, right? I think it's like a vibrational thing. Like I just feel like a lot of people are just like higher vibrational is really, really what that is compared to the plane, right? The plane is very dense, not so much anymore. And you know what's so interesting? Hey, I think back in the day, I remember thinking like just like walking through places and like thinking how like disconnected everybody felt to me. Not just like them being disconnected, but people being disconnected from each other. And it's like ever since we had this like major event that took place in 2020, it's kind of like we all got plugged into something and it feels like we're all like even more like part of this like collective consciousness. I don't know, that's just how it feels like to me. Welcome to the people joining. I'm answering astrology questions, metaphysical questions, and questions about astrology overall and just like metaphysics if you guys have any questions about that kind of stuff. You said you felt the same. You've always felt like you were the only one in the knowing. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's how I felt when I was younger too. Like I was kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I kind of felt like Shutter Island. Like literally like everyone was just like, the only word is asleep. I'm like, hello, like what's going on here? And I don't know, it was just so interesting back in the day. Okay, this is another thing that takes place that everyone has to understand, okay? So basically the way that things work energetically is, and again, it's just my own opinion, okay? The way that things work energetically is like whoever is energetically operating everything, right? They see a pattern that's going to emerge. And because that pattern is going to emerge, they try to hijack it so they have control over the outcome is really, really what that is. So it's like there's always two timelines that are kind of like playing out side by side. There's the original organic version of the way the energy is going to go. And then there's a hijacked version that's operating beside of it, right? So which topic are you interested in? Let me know. I don't know which topic you're interested in. I have a metaphysical playlist. I talk for days about this kind of stuff, okay? So, okay, back to the hijack energy. So because there's these two timelines, right, that are playing out, they want to control the outcome of whatever they're seeing, right? So like, let's say, you know, there's something that takes place. Okay, the best way that I can explain is the thing that happened in Miami recently. Have you guys heard about that? I'm gonna have stalking code, okay? That, and it's funny because I didn't think of anything. I didn't think of it until someone asked me. They're like, what's your opinion on this? And I said, as soon as something hits the mainstream, it's hijacked, okay? Like if it's in the mainstream, that's a narrative that's being controlled. But what's interesting was what psychically came through. I was actually thinking about how like these beings, okay, that people are saying that they saw, right? I feel like because we're elevating our frequency as a collective, I feel like we're actually psychically going to start being able to see them psychically, okay, in our mind's eye, because they're in between dimensions, right? So some people already can, right? Some people already can, but I feel like it's gonna start happening on like a mass scale, okay? And now to hijack that narrative, it's just giving you guys an example of how narratives get hijacked, okay? To hijack that narrative, certain people do it first, and then they want to put fear, right? So the seed that gets planted is fear always. So they want people to fear these individuals, right? I hope you guys are following, okay? Because certain things I have to talk between the lines, right? So that's how things get hijacked. So that's everything. Everything gets hijacked. Every single movement, every single pattern is all hijacked so they can control the outcome of it, right? So the whole hijacking of that, what I was psychically like tapping into was like that whoever these quote unquote beings are, right, that we would eventually psychically be able to see because we're raising our frequency and vibration as a collective would actually, let's say, be helpful for us, right? Let's say they would be helpful, but the seed is planted for it to be fear. So that's just like an example of how it works. I hope that makes sense. Let's see what else you guys saying in here. You said you downloaded the idea that the veil will lift and hidden enemies. Absolutely. That's going to start happening from Pluto and Aquarius. I'm so excited because that was another thing that I focused on. So I wanted to see like what 2024 was going to be like. So I was just like focusing. You said, is the hijacker? Absolutely. Yes, Stella. I'm not going to say that, but yes, exactly. You're onto it. I love it. I love my community. So yes, you said that about the hidden enemies. Yeah. So I was focusing on 2024 and I was like thinking about it. I'm like, what's the vibe for 2024? And I was actually seeing that. So as the vibration lifts higher, right? Certain things that these individuals used to do to like hide and cloak and hide behind and manipulate aren't going to work anymore. They're already not working anymore, right? Certain narratives, okay, now we're going all in, okay? We're going all in. So the way certain things happen, and one of you guys asked me about manifestation, is like they basically use the people who are the actual people, right? Like the people who have like the God consciousness within them, right? And the actual beings of this plane, right? So they use these individuals, which is humans, okay, to basically play out some sort of plan or plot, right? For them is kind of how it works, okay? So they use the collective's consciousness, right? I'm sure if you guys see Simpsons, and then people are gonna be like, oh, the Simpsons predicted this, and then some people say that it's like because we watch all of the episodes unconsciously, we make those things happen, right? So that's for everything. So you'll see certain narratives, right? After 2020, right? There was the explosion of the narrative, whatever that lasted, how long it did, but there were certain little ones after that that they tried to plant in the unconscious and in the subconscious of the collective that didn't pick up like track, right? So the way that it works is like, I feel like they put things out there. They do take advantage of the energy. So they take advantage of like the certain energy. So like, for example, in 2020, there was a certain energy that was taking place. I learned this from somebody else. And this isn't a different type of astrology because she believes that they use different types of astrology than we do. And I agree with that. Actually, psychically, what I was thinking about recently was like, I feel like they're on the 13-month calendar and I feel like they're on the 13 like astrology signs. But anyways, that's just something that I was thinking about recently. So, okay, so what they do is like they see like a trend, right? So like, let's say in 2008, maybe something was happening astrologically where like people were more susceptible to believe that like the financial crash or whatever happened in 2008, like the financial issues were more believable, right? So they take advantage of the energy. So they still play within like the whole Saturnian system, right? But they try to hijack it to benefit them. I hope that makes sense. Let's see what else you guys saying in here. You said, yes, they have to show it. Absolutely. You said there's been a plug-in, but whenever you go out, you come across people who are drained and empty. Yeah, a lot of people are disassociating. Absolutely. It's a few things, okay? We're being shown the amount of NPC people. That's one thing. But a lot of people like are just like energetically disconnecting is really, really what that is because it's just like a lot for them. You said 24 is a female energy, even 8 number energy. You said related to the moon psyche axis of water. Absolutely. You said and not really awakened despite the rise of spirituality, wellness, and fitness. You said LMO and NPC people. Yeah, there's a lot of them. The amount of fear that gets instilled into us is what's draining. Exactly. So that's the biggest thing. It's all about like reclaiming your power and taking your power back and just like not participating. Like certain things, like I don't even pay attention to the news. Like there's so many things that like people tell me, like my friends and whoever, like they tell me of things that are going on, but I have completely disconnected because even if you listen to it, if you watch it, you're feeding into that narrative. Do you know what I mean? So you don't want to do that. You said you find yourself disconnecting. It's overwhelming. You said people need to heal childhood trauma. Absolutely. A lot of people are traumatized. And that's part of the inverted matrix is really what that is. Down here, like that's something, and this is what I've learned, again, through my own journey, is that those things are imposed on people energetically. Like everything down here is like, it's like upside down world. It's inversion, it's this, it's like, it's all backwards and topsy-turvy like down here. It really, really is. So it's a constant like spiritual WAR, and honestly, like in the end, what I feel like it's like it's survival of like the spiritually fit is really what that is. So it's like if people have the time or the energy, like if you can focus on strengthening like your spiritual energy and like the belief in the self and really the solar plexus, like yeah, I think that's going to be very, very helpful to a lot of people. Let's see what else are you guys saying in here. One of you guys said up here, hold on, let me go back up. What did you guys say? Where is it? You said you had an epiphany, Pluto in Scorpio in natal transit, Pluto in Aquarius in your 12th house secret enemies. What did you have an epiphany about? You said it's like the movie The Day After Tomorrow. You didn't even bother watching it. Yeah, and the other new one that everyone's talking about, I was like, I'll just listen to the cliff notes, thanks. Like, I'm not feeding into this. I was like, what a marketing strategy. So now they know that like people probably don't watch as much TV. So they know that other people are gonna start talking about it and then other people are gonna be interested in it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, they're still trying, but it's like, it's literally not working. Like the vibes are so high vibrational. It's crazy. And one of you guys up here also said something. about authenticity. Let me see what it was. You said it's so hard to have an authentic conversation now, everyone's so fake. Yeah, because people don't know who they are, and that's what's going to be revealed in Pluto in Aquarius, and that's why I'm excited for it. I made on my threads, I made a little post last year, and I was like, I hope all the scammers and the con artists enjoy Pluto and Capricorn, like the rest of Pluto and Capricorn, because as soon as Pluto goes into Aquarius, I'm really excited for it, because I feel like it's like the veil just keeps lifting. We just keep going higher and higher, and you're really gonna see people for who they are. Like, you can't hide anymore. Like, these days, if someone is lying, and especially if you're like a child of God, in the sense where it's like you actually have a connection to the creator, and you know, you're doing your best to like be in your high vibration and in your own truth and like integrate your own shadows, honestly, you're so protected. Like, everyone gets exposed in like 30 seconds. I'm not even joking. Like, sometimes it's in the same conversation. Let's say someone's lying to you, or someone's trying to be like snaky or shady, like it's all coming out. You really don't want to give that movie energy. Absolutely. You said, how many people are really in on it? You always imagine a round table of like max 15 people. Honestly, like, I don't know, okay, in terms of like the groups, I don't know. I feel like it's people that we might not ever even see, to be honest. The way that I see it is like, okay, this is the way that I see it. Just like at this point in my journey, I feel like this plane is gridded for everybody, okay? I think everyone under this earth structure, okay? It's that sheet that I was telling you guys about. Maybe it's a dome. It's energetic though, okay? I know a lot of people think it's a physical thing that's around. I think it's energetic, okay? I think there's an energetic dome, okay? And this energetic dome is Saturn, okay? So they all worship Saturn, which in turn is Satan, okay? Okay, I'm gonna have to talk in code a little bit, but yeah, so they all worship Saturn, right? That's who they're worshiping, because that is what's operating this plane, and Saturn is karma, right? And that dome that's around here, or sheet, or whatever it is, it's some sort of energy grid, right? It's imposed on this plane, right? And that is what's basically like the whole karmic wheel, the whole reincarnation loop. So when people are trying to cross out, I think they don't know how to break through that, right? They don't know how to break through this energetic dome thing, whatever it is, right? There's some sort of energy thing. And now what I was saying to you guys earlier, and it's good, I guess now I can say it, maybe some of the earlier people who maybe would have gone too much into their crown have left, I guess, the conversation. But what I was psychically seeing once was like, have you guys ever seen those like psychedelic pictures that people make, and they put like eyes all around the like earth kind of thing? Like, they always put like the eyes, right? And those people like always have the eye, right? So what's really, really interesting is like, I was on the train recently, and on the train, like, I always pay because I learned karma at a young age. Honestly, it's not worth it, right? So you basically have to tap the card when you get on and when you get off, right? So I get on and whatever, and there's these like security people coming through, and they're basically catching so many people who aren't paying for the train, right? And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm like, I wonder how much the fine is, right? So in my head, I'm like, I wonder if it's worth it for them. Like, how many times would they ride the train versus getting caught, right? And then I started thinking about this like structure, like on the astral plane, this is the karma, this is the Saturn thing. This is why they're trying to like, everything that's happening astrally, it's just like ends up manifesting physically, right? So when we talk about like big BROTHER, right? Always watching all these types of things, that's actually already happening on the astral plane. I hope that makes sense, okay? So that's how like, quote unquote, people get caught in the karma or whatever. It's almost like this like energetic, like type of like, I don't know how to say it, like energetic type of like POLICE ink system, okay? That's just like washing everybody and everything everybody does. And that's the structure that's like around the earth plane, right? Thinking in my head, right? And I'm just like, you know, is this necessary? I'm like, is it because people have too many shadow traits? I'm like, what would happen if this wasn't there? Like, people behave, right? So yeah. Oh my gosh, hey Malia, how are you doing? You said there's a lot of people behind the scenes. Yeah, it's not people, exactly, you said not people that we know. You said, and more people are becoming bonded on alcohol and drugs because they can't handle it. Because you know what it is? A lot of people are not in tune with their emotions, and they're not in tune with their feelings, and they're not in tune, first of all, with themselves, but it's like that heart resonance. And that's why they struggle. It's literally why they struggle, because it's like, think about it this way, right? So I don't know, like, when we look at spiritual awakening, right, we go through several throughout our life until you finally get to the root of the soul. There's maybe the initial one that puts you on the path, but every time you break through, you know, some form of deception, every time you break through some form of like belief that you had, like all these things that you thought were one way and then it was this way, you're going through an ego death every single time, right? That's really what's happening. So it's like a lot of people aren't equipped to deal with that. They're not. And as a form of escapism, they might be turning towards alcohol. They might be turning towards drugs. They might be turning towards all kinds of things, right? So all that we can really do during these times is just pray. Is really what it is. How are you doing? You said once you figured yourself out, you realized, yeah, I don't drink alcohol. I don't do any substances, because that's also how they want to manipulate you, is really what that is. Because when you do any substances, you open yourself up energetically. And the most recent manipulation is the psychedelic plant medicines, okay? I don't know. Some people, that might be like not a popular belief, but I'm telling you guys, it opens you up energetically. And a lot of people don't know how to pull themselves back in. That's the problem. So it's like when you do any form of substances, you're opening yourself up energetically, okay? So this is the way that I see it, okay? The way that I see it energetically and everything is like coinciding with the Saturn return around 27 and your prefrontal cortex developing up until that age. The way that I psychically see it is like your solar plexus has not landed in your body, which is your identity and which is your core, and which is so interesting. There's this lady on here on TikTok. She made a video once and she basically talked about how like all spiritual teachings, like I guess more so new age spiritual teachings, first of all, are men talking about destructing the ego, right? But she's basically saying how women or people who operate more so out of the feminine energy need to actually build an ego, right? Because we're taught from a young age not to have an ego and all these types of things. So like the ego death, right? Like everyone goes through different types of ego death, right? But it's interesting to see because it's like, I always talk about developing a strong solar plexus chakra and a strong identity and a strong core, right? And then your aura starts to expand outwards. So when you're younger, your aura is open, you know? And I know a lot of religions and cultures have like that belief, like, you know, let's say they birth a baby, that baby can't see anybody for 40 days. It's kind of like similar energetically because it's like they kind of, maybe, I don't know what the religious belief is, but just psychically what I was seeing like in alignment with that belief was like maybe the baby's aura is open or whatever it is. You don't want any entities to come through while like the aura is closing. But I feel like the aura is fully open until we get that solar plexus to ground down, right? When the prefrontal cortex develops. That's why a lot of people get siphoned and they get energetically like tied into situations before their prefrontal cortex develops. It's all like energy siphoning and binding is really what that is. You said, so the things that they push to get people to have more karmas. Exactly, Stella. Oh my gosh, exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yes, that's so many things on this earth plane exactly are, so people spend more time down here. So this is interesting because actually this is what I was psychically seeing. I'm trying to think, maybe like 2020, 2021. Yeah, so what I was psychically seeing was basically like, everyone like is in this web, right? We're all energetically like in this like web, right? And the web is from having so many incarnations down here. And like the reincarnation loop is hijacked. I have a video on that on my YouTube channel. It's called How to Clear Karma, okay? So it's actually hijacked because when you're trying to leave, because of this structure thing, right? They pull you back down, or like, oh my gosh, you didn't say sorry to this person, or you were mean to this person. Like, obviously you still want to be a good person, right? But it's like, sometimes it's like, I don't know, you didn't like share your pencil or whatever. And it's like, sometimes it's things like this, right? And you get pulled back down is really what it is. So to me, the way that I see it is like, this is the way that I've, again, through my own experience and just existing here, like my own philosophy, I guess you can say, is you want to clear the karma, but you don't want to get stuck in quote unquote clearing karma. You just want to become aware of it. Because a lot of the time you'll see from your astrological chart, usually your 7th house too, you'll have a lot of the same characters coming towards you, okay? And after a while, like in the new age, you're going to be like, oh, like you have to, you're manifesting them towards you. No, I don't think it's this. I think that it's just in your energetic imprint that you're always going to attract a certain type of character and you just have to not engage with them anymore is really what that is. I don't think it's anything to do with something that you did or something that you're bringing towards you, because that's another belief in the new age, okay? So I don't think it's this. I think it's just the energy, like the energy that you've incarnated into. Because when we look at like the astrological part of things, like in a way, astrology is technically, it's good and it's bad, right? Because it's good because now we know what kind of like game we're playing here, what kind of energies we have, right? How can we balance these energies? But at the same time, it just shows us that we're under some form of energetic structure, if that makes sense. Hey, Fairy Goddess. Oh my gosh, how are you? You said you failed your life path and you'll reincarnate. Oh, well, you're over it. I mean, that's not necessarily true. I think you can decide. I used to think like when I was younger, it was interesting from a young age. I had the belief system in reincarnation. That's how you know that it's not our first lifetime here. But when I was younger, I used to think that like it was like random, like when it's your last lifetime. I think you can pick That's what I think now. I think you can decide, and I think you can actively work on, like, if you make that your goal, like clear whatever I need to clear, transmute whatever I need to transmute to get out of here. And like, I think the next part, because in the Eastern traditions, they actually used to teach them how to cross out of the earth plane. We're not taught, especially in the West, right? And I can't tell you guys what it is because I haven't gone that far of how to like cross out, right? But I feel like a lot of things are rooted in healing and like clearing the lower trauma things, lower chakra wounds, desires, like things that you feel like you didn't get to complete, unfulfillment. Like if you have any desire line and you're crossing out, boom, you get looped right back in, right? Like let's say the desire. And you know what it is? A lot of things up until this time when we were in the age of Pisces, a lot of things were very much like implanted for us to think that we want those things through our visual, right? So you see someone be a singer, you're like, I want to be a singer. I want to be a singer. And then it's like, it's a certain club, you can't get into that club unless you do certain things, right? You're trying to cross out of the earth plane. Let's say it's like time to cross out or whatever. And then whatever's happening up there, they're like, oh, but you didn't get to do that thing. Boom, looped right back in, okay? So this is why it's like important to learn the deceptions and really get to the root of the soul. Like, what does the soul actually want to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, what does the soul actually want to do here is really what that is. When you take off all of these things. Let's see. Hey, I hope you're doing well as well. You said the game board is your birth chart. Yes, you have to complete each phase to move forward. The world is, you said the world try. Oh my gosh, can you retype your last part? Okay, let me tell you guys. Oh my gosh, what a fire live. Okay, so one time we were talking in my live and we were talking about free will, okay? And we were talking about how it's a game. This one person said, okay? This one person said, they're like, I feel like once you enter the game and you decide to enter the game, you have to play the game, right? And it's this. So I kept thinking about that. This is how claircognizance works. So I kept thinking about that. I was like, I love that. Like, I love how they said that. And I was thinking, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, it's literally like Jumanji. Like, you know, when you enter Jumanji, you have to play the full Jumanji game to actually get out of the game. I'm getting goosebumps, so it's confirmation for me. So I was like, oh my gosh, you have to learn how to play the game, right? And that's the whole thing here. You have to learn how the plane operates. What is the game and what is your, like you said, game board, which is your birth chart within this game. That's really what it is, okay? Sel says, oh, that's interesting and it makes sense because like you said, we blame ourselves for calling. Exactly. That's a whole other like program slash like consciousness that needs to be broken through is like the victim, or like, it's not victim like poor me. It's like us blaming ourselves. And you'll see that people who operate more out of the feminine energy are more prone to blaming, internalizing. That's the word. They more so internalize things, think it's their fault that they did it. But I don't think it's this. Like the more that I like live down here and like just experience like these things, I feel like a lot of things are like misplaced and like shifted energy. Do you know what I mean? Like, this person put it on you because that happened to them. That person put it, like scapegoat. It's all scapegoat energy. You said mind blown. Yeah. This is why I love doing the lives. This is what I mean. Like we all learn from each other. Let's see what else you guys. I'll get to your astrology questions in just a second. I just want to see, you said certain people to us. You said also relationship wise, there has been such a weird shift. You feel like most find themselves in a relationship to avoid inner work. Yes. That's another program. Okay, wow, you guys are, I love this. You guys are so fire, okay? Make sure if you're new here, check out my YouTube channel. It's called Barbara Talks. That's another program that I've been thinking about, okay? Because honestly, I feel like the whole relationship program is a program too, because I've been thinking recently, I mean, I always thought this to be honest, but I've been thinking recently more so. I've been thinking about how like, why is that the norm? Do you know what I mean? And it's like everything in society is like looked at from that perspective. Let's say you were to go to a psychologist or a therapist. Everything is looked at through the lens of the end goal of you getting into a relationship. Why is it this? Why is it not looked at like everyone has their own life path and it's like, okay, I'll see you when I see you. Like, why does it look like this? I mean, I could get deeper into that. There's a lot more things. A lot of it is connected to siphoning the feminine energy, because really my ultimate belief is that the feminine energy and the psychic energy is what's going to break through this energetic like thing, okay? This energetic structure. And that's why there's been such like a, oh, like don't listen to psychic people. They're like this, they don't know what they're talking about. They're this word, they're that word. That's my actual belief system. So it's been all about pulling down the feminine energy, to not listen to the feminine energy, because the feminine energy, which is the intuition, I think is what's going to break through like whatever energetic thing is happening up there. That's my belief. And it's interesting also because it's like people think that whatever this thing is, that it's physical. And it's interesting also to see because it's like even those people who are aware of it, I think they also think that it's a physical thing. because certain, like, I don't know if you guys have seen certain videos of them trying to break through it, but I don't think it's physical. I think it's energetic. And you'll see this through a lot of the ancient civilizations. They all have their little picture of the thing around the earth, right? But I think it's been interpreted in a way, in a physical way. I think it's energetic. And I think that, again, that's what karma is. Let's see what else you guys saying in here. Let's see. You said trying to distract you from completing the game with everything possible. Exactly. Oh my gosh. Yes. KLB Gemini. You said rest of the chat is a little further down. You said community and groundwork are their main structures. You realize. You said mind blow. You said goosebumps too. So glad you see, feel what I do. I'm so glad that you see and feel what I do. More people need to see and feel it. You said you also feel that Saturn in the 12th house. Yeah, I'm a 12th house person too. You said yes, the USA is a magnification of that, especially based off of their infrastructure. Yeah, infrastructure. You said you realize the game and how to play. That's all that it is. That's literally all that it is. Now, some people are going to say that it's an actual simulation or a computer game. I don't know. But when we look at numbers, you know, if you look at numbers, in a way it is coded, right? So there's that too. Let's see what else are you guys saying in here. You said makes so much sense because masculinity is control. Absolutely. And it's not even like real masculinity. This is the problem. This is the problem of everything being inverted. It's not even divine masculine, it's shadow masculine energy. That's the struggle. You said it's harder to beat each phase of the game with two people's karma and then individually. You'll notice, okay? You'll notice everything. Oh yeah, so I started telling you guys about the web, okay? So I had that whole epiphany, right? When I was thinking about how, like, I mean, I just felt like during that time, I was unweaving myself from a karmic web, right? And this is the thing, because it's like people, again, are like, okay, they're stripped from their emotions, they're stripped from their spirituality, and then they're gonna like cling on to anything. And that's why certain movements are hijacked, even within the new age, right? That's what I was saying to you guys. That's the lower fourth dimension, the new age, right? That's the lower fourth dimension. You get a little bit of spirituality, but it's all feel good. Do you know what I mean? It's all like, oh yeah, if we all sing kumbaya, it's not just this, okay? It's not just this. Like, there's a lot of things here that are happening esoterically, metaphysically, energetically. And thankfully it's starting to wear off, I would say. You said the older that you get, you feel like you're having an out-of-body experience. You said, why did they show us Britney Spears videos, thoughts? I don't know what's going on with her. I don't know. I haven't tapped into her energy to see like what that is all about. Maybe I feel like a lot of things that we see aren't even real, to be honest. I feel like a lot of things are CG and then the letter I. Yeah, I think a lot of things are this, okay? That's what I think. I think a lot of things that are put out there, sometimes I think to myself and I'm just like, did any of these things really happen? Do you know what I mean? Like, is this even real? I don't know. I don't want to take you guys too much into the crown, but yeah. You said, why 12 house more prone? Because you feel everything, you see through the veil. I guarantee you guys that people who are homeless are probably all 12 house people, because okay, there's a few things that are taking place with them, okay? Some of them have traumas and some of them went into addiction, yes. But another thing that I was thinking about recently was like, it wasn't that like long ago in our history that we literally were living with the land, right? So I think to myself sometimes, and I think about homeless people and I'm just like, maybe like the way that they are is the way that we're supposed to be. And then they leave, like they don't want to be part of the system, some of them, if you talk to them, right? So there's this. You said, yes, you haven't heard about the other side of spiritual, even the most famous books they leave. What do you mean by that? Let me know. The fact that we have to come back. Exactly. You mean like into the reincarnation loop? Absolutely. Let me just answer. I don't know if you're still in here, Malia. Let me just answer your question here. You said, where did you ask the question about your career? Hold on a second. I'll get back to the other topic in just a second. You said Capricorn rising with 3rd house Pisces, stellium, Mars, Mercury, Sun, Moon, and Saturn. So Capricorn rising is going to be grounding the energy for you. You're here to speak something, and probably within the world of like metaphysics, the metaphysical world. It could be art. It could be film. It could be theater. It could be anything that's like dreamy. It could be photography. It could be just the psychic world overall. You said, wow, you think you're clear on why you're the only one doing astrology that you 100% resonate with. Yeah, because I literally like, I don't know, I feel into things. That's how I see it. I went to an event yesterday and it was really interesting because I haven't really been in like all masculine spaces, and they were like trying to explain something and I'm like, what are they even saying? Like I was thinking in my head and I'm like, you know, people who are disconnected from the feeling aspect of things, they go so much into like the crown, but the shadow of the crown, where they're just like trying to over intellectualize everything and sound smart and say this and like give you this fact and that fact. When I do astrology, because one of you guys asked me earlier about like tips on learning astrology, I actually feel into it. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I look to see in my life, or maybe public figures or people that I know, what does it feel like to have Venus in Pisces? How does that person act? Okay, that's now in my energetic repertoire. I also have Scorpio stellium, okay? What does it feel like for Mercury in Taurus? How do they think, right? So you need to have the emotion. You need both energies working with each other. You need the intellectual, but you also need the feeling as well, okay? You said you're so inspired by my knowledge. Do I have any book recommendations? Sorry, I'm just dying at book recommendations because I don't have too many. I have, okay, so my goal in life was to read all of the spiritual versions of the religious texts, which is theology, okay? So I have those books. I have a video on my YouTube channel. It was interesting because that was the video back in, not this year, 2023, but 2022. It had the least amount of views. So I was like, I guess no one's really reading books these days. But I have a video on all the books that I've read that are theology based and like the roots of religion, okay? So it's gonna be like the spiritual side of Christianity, which was originally Gnosticism, right? Or this book and that book. So I have that book. And then, or those books, okay, there's a few on there. I've given a lot of them away. So I put the little pictures up. And then I'm currently reading another one. It's called, what is it called? The Secret Knowledge 100. I don't know. I'll post it after in the live, in like the replay. But yeah, Secret Knowledge or something. Actually, okay, let me just get it and see. Oh no, I don't have it on my other phone. It's on this phone. Yeah, I don't have it. Let's see. What else are you guys saying in here? But yeah, honestly, like what you guys can do, okay, if you guys really want to learn, is read things, because those are the things that can't get changed, okay? At least for now. I mean, I'm not going to get into that metaphysical aspect of things, but whatever. Like things that are in physical form can't get changed. There's a lot of secret books. There's a lot of hidden books. There is a lot of like, you want to get the original text of something. So sometimes it's hard because some things are in different languages, right? Like I want to read the Vedas. Like that's on my goal, like my list, my goal, right? But you need to know Sanskrit for that, right? So there's that. And it's hard because it's like, even if you translate it, you're not going to get the essence of it, okay? So there's that. But yeah, so read things, learn them, think about it, really think about it and feel it. Does this resonate? Does this not resonate? And how do you feel? You know what I mean? Like a lot of my own personal knowledge is just based off of my experience of living down here, trying things, trying certain things, manifestation things, trying that. I've tried it all, right? So that's how I come to my own conclusions, is really, really what that is. You said you used to go to religious schools with whoever would take you as a child and try to learn. Yeah, because I think there's truth in all of the origins of the religions. Now it's seen through a shadow masculine lens. So there's that, but in the origins of it, there's truth. And in all religions, sometimes even if there's something that I don't understand why that religion does it that way, I really think about it and I'm like, okay, but where is this coming from? Like, what is the thought process here? Like, why are they doing it? And then I think, and then I think, and then I think, I'm like, what's the metaphysical reason for this? And because I think about it so much, boom, comes through claircognizance. You said absorbing info. Yeah, I think you said, well, your name says Gemini, so it makes sense. Okay, guys, check out my YouTube channel. It's called Barbara Talks. Check out my merch, okay? It's going to be on my link in my bio, okay? It's going to be under my merch store, and my YouTube channel is Barbara Talks. And if you guys want your own readings, my readings tab is going to be there. And that's pretty much it. I'm going to sign off. So thanks so much for your questions, for the chat. I will be posting this on YouTube. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your evening. Thanks for being here.